My name is Zena Ozeir, and I am out here from Detroit, and I came to be a part of the Palestine contingent at the Ferguson October rally yesterday. And I was a part of the rally, and it was amazing, and it was incredible to see all of the energy and all of the people who have come out from different parts of the United States to stand in solidarity with those of Ferguson. And the evening of Saturday, what was the date?
The 11th.
The 11th. We also went to the Ground Zero site on Shaw Street in St. Louis, where Von Derek Myers was shot and killed, and so there was some talk of having an action happen, and so we rallied and marched down to the Quick Trip gas station, and we decided we were just going to go there and do some nonviolent civil disobedience. And when we got there, the doors to the store were locked, and we weren't planning on going in. We just wanted to show our numbers a little bit and have a little direct action going on. And so we sat down in front of the shop, and by the time we got there, the SWAT teams were all set up and ready to go, as though that they were expecting something. And it was very peaceful. We did 4.5 minutes of silence for Mike Brown, and proceeded to sit down and link arms in front of the gas station. And we got a notice that if we didn't move, we would be arrested. And so the riot cops came out and started coming closer to us, and as we were linked up, it started to get pretty aggressive with those who were on the outside of the group. And so people started to get a little worried, and they were using their batons to get through the crowd, and using force to split people apart. And they gave a notice that if you wanted to get up and this was your last chance not to get arrested, that you could do that. And people were pretty afraid due to the pepper spray and the batons being out, and the force that was being used. And so a lot of people stood up, and I was in the last row against the wall, so I didn't have the chance to stand up and leave right away. And I didn't plan on it because I figured we would all be doing that together. And so slowly people started to rise, and I looked at my friend Bilal next to me, and we decided, well, maybe this isn't the best time to get arrested since the crowd has dissipated. And so we got up to walk away, and as we were walking, the police, one of the riot cops came between Bilal and I, and let him go and asked me to stay behind, and told me that I was going to be arrested. So that was the situation I was in. I wasn't sitting down. I was standing up, getting ready to walk, and he wouldn't let me exit the area. So I ended up getting arrested with 19 other people. And
were anyone throwing rocks at the...
There were no rocks being thrown at all. There was no projectile, no aggression, nothing being thrown at all. It was very, very nonviolent. And I heard today from folks who were calling me to check up on me that that's what was being reported, and I was extremely surprised because they were saying that this was happening in Ferguson, and we were in St. Louis. So I don't know really what these reports are and how they're being conflated. But the fact that they are claiming that we were throwing rocks is a complete fallacy. It's a way for them to cover up the force that they were using unnecessarily.
Can you tell me about your experience, some of your experiences while you were detained?
Mm-hmm. So we got taken to a jailhouse, the South County Jailhouse. I can't remember exactly what it was called. And we were held there for several hours, and they weren't very helpful with getting us access to phones and things like that. They were not really wanting to cooperate, and they seemed like they didn't really know how to deal with what was going on. I don't think they'd really had this type of situation before, where they had a dozen people showing up to the police station that needed to be processed at the same time. So they were overwhelmed, and they showed that by being especially rude and not very helpful to us. So we ended up being transferred to the Justice Center, and in the process of that, we had to finish up at the South County jail, and one of the officers who was new on duty recognized me, I guess, from the morning report, and he looked at me and he said, "Oh, I recognize you. I saw you on the news this morning. You were getting arrested." And I said, "Yep, I guess that was me." And so we didn't really talk much after that, and then we were waiting to be processed once we got to the Justice Center, and he looked at me and maybe noted something from my accent or something, that maybe I wasn't, or probably the color of my skin, that I wasn't white. And so he asked me, without any provocation, I wasn't speaking to him, he asked me, "Oh, were you born in America?" And I said, yes, I was." And he said, "Well, you know, in Islamic countries, they can't do this." And I said, "Do what exactly? I don't really understand what you're referring to." And he said, "Oh, you know, they can't protest there in these Islamic countries." I don't know what countries he was referring to. I don't know, you know. And he said, "Yeah, they can't protest in Islamic countries without getting shot." And I said, "Excuse me, that's not true. I could name some Arab countries where protests happen all the time, and, you know, where people are standing up against the government on the regular. And so I don't really know what you're talking about." And he said, "Yeah, well, those countries get a lot of U.S. aid," as though these were the good countries who were Western enough and liberal enough to allow their people to rally. And so it's really racist and Islamophobic interaction I had with this police officer, and it was really uncomfortable, and it really made me see how out of touch and how really awful these officers are. And especially, like, if you have people with that mentality dealing with activists or dealing with people of color in general who are being detained, like, you fear for the well-being of those folks, because you see that there is a clear, like, racist and racist dealing with the people. And so, I mean, when you're looking at the larger context of Mike Brown and the police shootings, it's very clear that a lot of this has a lot to do with race, and the way that police officers are able to get away with this type of racism that they practice on a daily basis, but it's condoned because they have this sense of authority, and they are protecting and serving.
And America isn't as Islamic country, is it?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And I told him that. I said, you know, Americans get shot for protesting too, so I don't really understand the point you're trying to make here. Like, I don't know why you're looking at the West as this haven for democracy, because we clearly, as we can see, don't really have a democracy in this country. So. And
you were telling me before about the experiences of Muslims who were arrested with you.
Oh, yes. So one of the women who was arrested with us was wearing a hijab, and as part of the search, and after the initial search, she came into the holding cell, and she was not wearing her scarf, and the officers made her remove her scarf, and they said that wasn't allowed, and that is really shocking to me, and is a really, really gross violation of religious freedom, and it's very much motivated by her religious beliefs that they made her remove that. And I say that because we were allowed to keep our jackets on, and we were allowed to keep our sweaters on that had hoodies, and so some of us had our hoodies on because it was cold in the cells. And so the fact that she wasn't able to wear the hijab but was able to wear a hoodie, like, one of the officers ended up telling her, "You can wear your hoodie, like, if that helps." Like, he was trying to, you know, make a concession and try to help her out a little bit, so allowed her to wear the hoodie, but the scarf was not allowed. So I really think that that's a huge violation of her civil liberties.